Building some hive boxes, trying an alternate way this go around. One of the problems that I found with building some hive boxes is when you screw, like I am, the paint clogs the holes and then you can't get the screw out. In the future you're going to have a problem with that. I usually use square-headed screws, but in this case they're starred and I think I'm going to run into a problem. So trying a different approach where I'm building the hives apart. So they have 2 coats of Kills primer, and then they have 2 coats of this exterior semi-gloss enamel from Behr, which I got from, I think, Home Depot. I don't know. If you look, it's 100% acrylic. One of the key things before assembly, and I didn't do it yet on these, is everywhere the edges where the paint is spilled over, I trim it off to make sure that everything fits nice and tight and you don't have peels or problems. So in the boxes that I've built thus far, I've scraped all that off. And what I've done is I put them in this jig that I built. This jig was built from a square box that I had built in the past. And I've set the corners on, and every box I've built thus far has been flat as can be and square as can be. I don't need to measure it anymore, I just trust the jig. The way that it works is there's 4 corner clamps screwed to the base. They look like this. This is an Irwin one. Bought it at Lowe's. I think they're like $6 or $8 a piece, but you can get other ones online. This is a different variant of it. The way that this jig works is there's a screw that comes up through the bottom and it's threaded into the hole that's right there. My difficulty with these Irwin ones is you could see this one, the tab is broken off. Here the tab is in place. So I don't want to use those anymore. I probably will switch to something like this, which is a little sturdier. I bought a bunch of these Irwin ones and I've broken the tabs off on a number of them and have had to replace them on my jig. So why build the boxes dry and not glue them? Oh yeah, I said I'm not gluing them. The point of it is once you put the screws in here, if something happens to this panel, you can just unscrew it and replace the panel. So you could see I have the 4 corner mounts that square the box, and then the top just pulls it tight each time I put those clamps on and puts the corner. In the past, when I've used the jig, I've put a corner bracket up here like this, but in this case I'm just using the 4 clamps. So one of the things about the screws that I'm using, these things are pretty exotic. They're relatively expensive. I got them from a past job that somebody gave them to me. I have a whole bunch of them, so I'm using them up. These are trim head screws. And I think one of the reasons you want to use a thinner screw like this is so that you don't crack the wood when you go in the holes, even though they're pre-drilled from the factory on these pieces, which are Kelly boxes. The other thing about it is it does have a star head, which I think will make it easier in the future if you ever want to disassemble the boxes. And I think these will last forever. So the last piece to say about this, of course, is that when the box is finished, you'll put the metal drip rail here, or the frame rest. And I think you could see that when I take this box and set it on the floor, it's flat as can be, and I promise it's square as can be too. Hope you enjoyed the video and this alternate way of building out a hive.